30 to 45-day process to tan the leather. It's more highly skilled. The natural material, you can see like the bug bites and scars and stretch marks, and just trying to support like smaller businesses, even like with my buying practices as well. I don't know, I just love the process of like collaborating with another artist. With your planting and like your acreage, is it goal to like make some of, like distill some of your own flowers and your own stuff one day, or does that...
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my facial feature series where I bring in a friend of mine or a special guest into my space and I give them a facial while we talk about something they're incredibly passionate about. In today's episode number 8, I have Kristen from Luna Goods, who makes the most beautiful handmade leather bags. I actually have one of hers right here. It's absolutely one of my favorite pieces. I get the most compliments on it and I love it so much. She does such a unique job when it comes to them. And I couldn't recommend her enough. But I messaged her to see if she wanted to come in to do an episode, and she said yes. And today we talk about all things Luna Goods, where she sources her leather from sustainably, how she goes about each collection, and just her life in general. She's such a beautiful human, and it was just such a pleasure talking to her today. I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. It might be a little all over the place and a little bit chaotic. She did warn me in advance. She has a weird thing with camera technology and my camera kept cutting in and out. So we did have to film a couple things a few different times. So I hope it all goes together okay. I haven't went through the footage yet, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will leave all of Kristen and Luna Goods information down below so you guys can shop her next collection. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. Enjoy! Alright, I'm just gonna get you to take a deep breath in for me. And again, deep breath in. And out. And last time, deep breath in. And out. And we're just going to start off with my sage cleansing oil, which just provides a little bit of clearing and cleansing, but also a nice, beautiful, deep clean.
It smells good.
Doesn't it smell so good?
So good. That's cute. My 8-year-old, I told her I was coming for a facial and she was like, what is that? And I would listen to like her and my husband debate what a facial was.
I love that.
And it was the funniest thing I've ever heard. She was like, no, it's like with the cucumbers on the eyes and the big white stuff on the face, and like it's completely covered and you have the towel wrapped around your head. And I'm like, I have no idea where you've seen that, but my husband was like, I think it might be a facial massage. Is that what?
And you're like, I will go and find out. I'll discover for you.
Yes. Showing the video to my 8-year-old, she'll be so happy.
Oh, so cute. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my facial features episode number 8. Today I have the beautiful Kristen from Luna Goods, who makes the most beautiful handmade leather bags. She's a beautiful leather worker, and I'm so grateful that you came on and decided to pop in today. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you got it started into leatherworking and Luna Goods?
I got started with leatherwork when I was postpartum with my daughter. My husband is a leather worker as well. He makes more like smaller everyday carry accessories and camera straps, and when we were I was at home postpartum and he was in Christmas season and working full time and just needed a little bit of help, and so I stepped in to kind of like help him and do some of like the prep tasks and the easier tasks, and I was enjoying that, and I was enjoying like the creative aspect of that and just like keeping busy being home full time after like working full time for so long. Obviously babies are busy, but and I wanted him to make me a like custom diaper bag for my daughter and I, and he eventually was just like learn how to make it yourself, please. And so I did. I learned and I figured it out and grew along the way and kind of found my niche. I really enjoy like hand stitching leather, and so like not using a sewing machine or really any machinery at all. I do like all handcrafted tools, so leather and my hammer and my knife and chisel and all of that stuff, and and I've been doing that for I guess the past 4 years now.
I absolutely love that. And it really shows in your work. Like each piece is so unique and so beautiful to like each its own. And it's just so cool to see every little collection that drops. Because I also feel like every little collection is really unique that you drop as well. But yeah, I love that you got into it because your husband's like, you just do it.
Basically. I was like, I remember the first couple times I like tried to set rivets or like learned a hard new skill. I don't know, I find like learning new skills quite daunting. And I really don't like being really shitty at things. And so like when I couldn't do rivets for the longest time, or like I didn't have the hand strength to like, you have to take pliers and you just basically like cut off like the metal bar. Right. And I didn't have the hand strength to do it, and it would just be so frustrating. And I remember crying, being like, I can't do it, Isaac, like you just have to do it. And he'd be like, just keep going, like keep trying. If you want to make it, like you gotta do it. And I did. I learned and I got better, and he was obviously like a huge help and like encouragement, and if I needed help with anything, he helped me. But he really encouraged me to just be able to like learn and do the work on my own, and now I'm like a much faster hand stitcher than him, and I like do very different things than him. I work more on like larger projects and bags, and he does smaller things. But I really enjoy the creative aspect of bags, and like, so he does lots of camera straps, and he's very repetitive. Like, it's just like you're making a ton of like a strap of leather with like some details on it, and it's very repetitive, and that just like drives me bonkers. I love the challenge of making something new and like figuring how it will fit together in my brain, and like how it's gonna look and what closure to use and how the pieces come together. And I have a lot of fun with that, and I like being able to do so many different varieties of bags and different drops. And I think if I was making the same bag for more than like the 6 or 7 that I make at a time, I would not enjoy my job as much.
Yes, that's so true.
I always tell people, I'm like, my bags are like a little bit more of like, if you want perfection and you want like exactly the same thing, like don't purchase from me, because it's a little bit of like an art for me. I like look at it and like, oh, like the button stud would be really good on this bag right here, and then I'm like, oh, but like I really like how the leather moves a little bit right here. I'm gonna move it down a little bit for this bag, and it can be the same style, but like there's slight differences between each bag. And I don't really work off of like a super planned template. Like I make a template for the shape of the leather, but outside of that, I just like really work in free flow.
Yeah.
And it works for me, but it's also like if you're looking for perfection, it's not gonna be me. That's just not my function.
I think that's what's beautiful about your bags though, is because each piece is so truly unique, and you do take like that moment to be like, you know what, I think this clasp might look better here, or how this folds. Like you really take a look at each bag uniquely, and that's what makes them so beautiful and so unique is that, yeah, you just take the moment and the time to like cherish each bag for what it is.
Thank you. That's part of what I love doing, is being able to see the different uniqueness in each piece. I sometimes feed like soaked, it's basically soaked hay, but like soaked alfalfa cubes, and it's the messiest thing ever. They're just like, noses are covered in like basically green goop.
Yes.
And it gets all over me and all over my clothing, and like I used to wear a lot of white, but I've slowly slowly moving into like more patterns and more color and like darker colors. Like I didn't wear black for probably, I don't know, 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And moving out there, it's like, yeah, black is coming back in.
Yeah. Hide all my stains.
Yeah.
And how do you go about sustainably sourcing your leather and your shearlings and your cow hides? You have so many unique and various different kind of textures and fabrics that you work with. How do you go about sourcing them? What's the process of that?
So there's 2 different types of leather. There's chrome tanned and vegetable tanned. I use for all of my leather goods, I use exclusively vegetable tan leather. Chrome tanning is a process that takes around 3 days, and it uses like petroleum-based chemicals and creates a lot of toxic waste as well. And unless there's like really strict regulations in place on how to dispose it, it pollutes a lot of the environment surrounding the tanneries. And so I prefer to use vegetable tanned, which is a 30 to 45 day process to tan the leather. It's more highly skilled. In practice, it uses water and other natural tannins, such as like barks and leaves and all of that type of stuff. And I just love like the texture of the leather. It doesn't like strip the leather down, or like you don't put a coating on it as it's done tanning. It's just like the natural material. You can see like the bug bites and scars and stretch marks and all of the leather that the life that it lived before.
Like very raw.
Yes.
Love that.
And I love it so much. People that work with vegetable tan leather that like will use gloves to handle it because it can mark and stuff like that. And I really just like stitch as I live my life. I am not in a like white clean studio away from everything. I have my bags with me while my kids are surrounding me and playing, and like my studio is right off of my living room, and I bring bags with me to the park as I'm stitching, or like out on my front porch like looking at my like animals and all of that. But yeah, I source my leather from, I buy it locally, and then it comes from a tannery in South America that's been a family owned and run tannery for the past 100 years. And they have like living wages practices and all of that good stuff. So that's where I get the leather. The sheepskin, it's almost impossible to buy vegetable tan sheepskin unless you're tanning it yourself. And so I found someone off of Etsy and spent a lot of time talking to them, like years ago, back when Etsy was like a different Etsy, you know? And spent a lot of time talking to them about where they source it and how they how it's tanned and all that fun stuff. And so I buy my sheepskin from him or from a tannery in Great Britain, and I also will buy from them as well. But yeah, I put a lot of time into finding materials. All my hardware is purchased from like a guy out of Nova Scotia, and just trying to support like smaller businesses, even like with my buying practices as well.
I love that. It could be a little bit tingly, but it shouldn't be like overwhelming or anything.
What type of mask is it?
So this is my Lumi mask. It brings a lot of brightness to the complexion. So it helps with any sort of sun damage or anything with like the elements, which is really great because you're in nature a lot. So it just kind of helps like revitalize the skin.
Nice. Yes, I am in nature a lot. I'm not very good at applying sun protective products.
That's all good. What would you say is one of your favorite designs that you've created so far with Luna Goods?
I don't know, that's a tough one.
It's like picking like a child.
Yeah. I don't know, I just love the process of like collaborating with another artist, and like they're always friends too, and so being able to work with your friends is always just like super sweet, and putting out something together. And then I've also done some with my friend like Nicole Lennon and Birdie Handmade is I think her Instagram handle, and my friend Aaron, who's a tattoo artist out of San Francisco.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and so she like burned designs onto the bags, and they were just like absolutely stunning. The art that she put onto them, it's like the relationship that you build within those collaborations is really special to me.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that answer. It's so fun working with like other artists and things like that. That's why I love doing the facial features series, is because you get to go off of Instagram and kind of explore a deeper connection, and then it's also kind of like a sneak peek behind like a facial treatment room, because this is what I do. Like I just talk to my clients about what they do, and I think it's so fascinating just to kind of like put that out there for everyone to experience as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't know, Instagram gets a lot of hate for a lot of reasons, and like some of it I definitely agree with, but I think one of my favorite things about it is that it's just like been I'm such an introvert, and it's just like such a form of connection, especially when you like live very rural. It's like I just love it so much, because I find that there's so many amazing artists out there, and they're just in the same position as me, just like trying to make a living through doing art and through putting their designs or their skincare or their makeup or whatever it is out into the world. And I just like want the world to be that place for people, that like it's not just a bunch of conglomerates, it's like a bunch of small businesses.
Yes.
And that's like something I'm really passionate about and I really love. And so like, yeah, I love sharing people.
So because you do live on a little homestead and you work from home, walk us through like a day in your life. Like what is it like kind of going from like your homestead work and into working for Luna Goods, and yeah, how do you kind of balance that all?
Not very well sometimes. Just like making meals and cleaning and the realities of like being a mom and all of that. And I try to get in a couple hours of work, like anywhere from 2 to like 4 or 5 hours of Luna Goods in through like the after lunch, like right after lunch. I kind of save that part of the day for Luna Goods, and my kids kind of just do their own thing, and it's like a very independent children who, because of the necessity of like working from home while raising kids, which is like its major bonuses. Like they're so strong and independent and like can really do a lot for themselves, which is really empowering for them and like really beautiful. I'm not afraid of like boredom for my children. Like they can go find something to do. We don't do screens during the day or anything like that while I work. They just have to find something to keep themselves occupied. Or like sometimes they'll just like hang out in the studio with me and like watch what I'm doing, and I give them like scrap leather and they can cut it up and they can draw on it and put stickers on it and paint it.
So fun.
So like they kind of just flow in that time. And then I will move on to like more of the fun homesteading type stuff, like tinkering in the garden or like pruning my tomatoes or picking the things that need to be picked, and food processing, like especially in this season right now. I'm like, I have a crap load of cucumbers in my fridge I need to make a relish out of and can it, and a bunch of berries I need to make jam out of.
Right, yes.
And so that's all like kind of on my plate as well. And then like training the horses, like I don't have super well trained horses. They're all product horses, from like my young one to like my older ones that need like fitness training so that they can be like sound and strong. So there's all that piece mixed in as well. And then it's just like nighttime chores and then I do it all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's the essential chores, and then there's just like things like the training or gardening that don't absolutely have to get done, but I would like for them to get done. And then there's like motherhood all kind of just mixed in every piece of it.
Intertwined within it.
Yeah.
I love that your kids can see you work and do something that you're passionate about, but then they can also like kind of get creative alongside you and just like play with the leather and just have fun.
Yeah, they all really enjoy that piece, and like as they get older you can see like my daughter Sawyer could actually like stitch if she wanted to, like a simple project, and like they all just see that and have like growing skills along with that, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's super fun.
And then like they all just like love art and drawing, and like my oldest Luna, who my business is named after, Sawyer Luna is her name, she can do art for hours and hours and hours, like from drawing to coloring to like painting to like little projects of like trying to learn how to sew, and I can't sew clothing for the life of me. Fabric is not my sewing expertise. And so like she tries to teach herself, and I try to set her up with tutorials, and yeah, she could work on creative projects for hours and hours and hours, whereas like my younger two will get bored and like go out and like hang out with the chickens and
different forms of creativity.
Yeah. Exactly. They're like, my youngest is 3 and he's super into like the destructive side of like my work, whereas like so like the scissors, the hammers, and like because all of my children have had access to my studio, it's always been off my living room in this house, in the last house. They learned at a very young age how to safely use scissors and knives and hammers and pliers. And like, yeah, they've had small like cuts or whatever, but just then out of necessity, because there's no way that we can keep everything out of reach at all times.
Yes.
Like from like just stepping away to go to the bathroom or like anything, like just leaving something out. I'd rather them know how to use it safely. And so they all, even like at young ages, have been like able to like hammer and like practice hammering rivets, and he loves that aspect right now. Like, how can I destroy this piece of leather into like a million little pieces? Which is fun for him.
We're just going in with my beautiful peony oil. It gives a beautiful glow to the skin.
with your planting and like your acreage, is it goal to like make some of like distill some of your own flowers and your own stuff one day, or is that something you're gonna leave that in the hands of other people who do it well?
I feel like there's like my business is all around sustainability, and I feel like there's so much on the market already that is like really well crafted and really beautifully done that I don't feel like I need to necessarily add to the mix and the production of everything. So I don't think that's in the mix for me, but I think something like if I ever were to, something like hydrosols and things like that are really, really beautiful, like flower essences and things like that are really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's so fun, like figuring out what on your own land serves you in different ways. That's one of the practices I've really loved.
Yes, so true. And I always ask this question to people as we wrap up, but what do you do for self-care at your homestead, in between little kids and being a mother? What do you do to incorporate little moments of like bliss and self-care for yourself?
Self-care is, I think the biggest thing I do for self-care is whenever I just take a moment and walk out to my horse field and just lay down with the herd and just like sit and be and like it just kind of do nothing with them. I think that's probably the thing that has made the biggest difference in like my mental, physical, everything well-being. I think that's probably like, that's definitely huge for me. I think also just like having a homestead in general is really good for me. Like homestead, it's such a funny term, but like just the hobby farm in general. Because it gets me up and outside. Like the first thing I do winter, summer, spring, fall is to go outside every day. And that I find is just so important for me for my well-being in general.
Yes.
Because like even when it's like minus 50 and it's horrible out and it's like the last thing you want to do is go outside, and like I spend a lot of time, like more time outside in minus 50 than I do in minus 20 because I'm concerned for my animals. I come back inside and like feel better for being outside. Even though it was like slightly miserable in the moment, it definitely like makes me feel a lot better, that routine of like having to go outside every day and spending quite a bit of time outside every day.
Yeah, being more connected to nature definitely like grounds you down and like puts you in like a sense of ease and a really beautiful mindset, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly. So like my self-care isn't like so much like skincare or massage or like the things that you traditionally think of, I guess, when you think of self-care, but it's definitely like those moments with like my animals and being in nature and going for long walks with my yearling, and or like I guess she's 2 now, my horse, or like my mule resting his head on me for like half an hour and us just like sitting there together. Like there's some pretty magical properties of horses that just like really are beautiful, that are my self-care for sure.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is like the nicest my skin will ever feel.
It looks absolutely amazing. It feels so soft. And I'm so grateful to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.